Hey guys, I am here with Taryn Southern.
Hi.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Today, Taryn has a real ghost story for us. So I'm just gonna let Taryn take it away from here.
I was in college at the University of Miami and studying ayahuasca, which is an hallucinogenic drug that Amazonian tribes have been taking for hundreds, thousands of years. So I applied for a grant from the Florida government, went down to Peru, and we were all venturing out like deep into the Amazon to do our various studies. On the third night that all of us were in Comandancia, our group leader who had taken us down there asked if we'd like to spend a night in one of the homes with a tribe. We're sent to basically spend the night in these people's living rooms, which were like tree huts. There was no living room, it was just sort of a communal space. Later that night, I went to sleep, and so did the other student who was with me in that house. And there was always a lot of sounds happening in the Amazon. Like, it was not a quiet sleep. There's hissing cockroaches that are flying around. You've got a net over your head, but you can feel them like flick onto the net, you know?
That's the scariest part of the story.
It's like, you know, it sounds like flurries. I finally fell asleep, and maybe an hour into it was abruptly woken up by just the loudest shouting. I mean, it was just like almost sounded like war noises, like tribal war noises, and it was like chanting and shouting, and it sounded like a group of men, like maybe 10, 15 men that were kind of maybe 500 feet in the distance, but like running towards, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I just was frozen. I couldn't say anything, but I woke up and I was listening to everything. And they kept getting closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden I feel the door of the tent that we were staying in, this Amazonian tent, like fly open, and this man rushes in, and my eyes are just closed shut, and he rushes in, he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and I'm like, oh my God, and no one in this house is saying a word. He was screaming, there was other people running around, I could feel the thudding on the bottom of the tent, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get raped tonight. I'm gonna get raped by a group of men, and I'm just laying there, and I feel his shadow come over me, and he's just like staring at me. And I'm just like, this is it, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And then all of a sudden, it just stops. And I was just crying, and I looked at my fellow student, and I was like, oh my God, what was that last night? What happened? He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, what do you mean, what are you talking about? I just assumed that he was terrified, and that's why he didn't say anything. But then later that day, when I told the group leader who had come down, and this is a guy who goes down to the Amazon, he's there half of the year. He does a lot of work with these indigenous communities. And he was telling me that there was actually a group of, he was like, are you serious? He's like, well, you know, I won't lie, like I've heard them before too. There's a group of tribal guys like many years ago that were out on a boat, and the boat sank, and people still see them traveling around and just causing chaos like amongst the river communities, and they used to just be like he didn't have that much information about them because it was mostly like a ghost story that had been told for many years throughout the indigenous communities, but it's a common legend, and that you hear them and they come to you at night, and they specifically come to those who are experiencing spiritual unrest, which was very weird. That's what he said to me.
I don't know, I mean, you guys, let me know what you think. She didn't know the legend before this happened. So that's the part that makes me think this was a real experience. So let me know in the comments what you think. And yeah, thank you, Taryn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.